What's up, everybody? It's Ask the Young One with CreateHigherVibrations.com. Today I wanted to make a video. It's been a little while, and I wanted to record it this direction here because I'm going to attempt to post my first Instagram video as well using this video. Today's video, I wanted to talk about narcissistic love versus authentic love, and some of the differences that I've learned throughout the process. As many of you know, and some of you may not know, depending on where you are in a relationship with a narcissist, you know that usually when you meet someone like this, it seems too good to be true. Things go really fast. They tend to be the one. They tend to get you like no other, and they tend to seem to be like the soulmate, the twin flame, the one that you've always been looking for. And in reality, this is what I've learned in this process. And the reality of this is, when we meet this type of person and they're giving us this kind of love to where we're falling in love with them, really this is a mirror effect. This is a mirror back to us of the love that is within us. And this is something I teach and work with people on in the Inside Out project, is to be able to self-reflect back to that and see those emotional needs, this big hole that we were living with, and then this person suddenly comes along and then they fulfill that hole, like they fill it up. And the detriment of a narcissistic type of love is they will start to devalue and discard you, and then that hole just gets completely ripped open again because we're relying on an outside source to fulfill us. And that is within itself a lesson for many of us. If we go years with a narcissist, we tend to forget that. We forget, we can remember how that felt. So like in the Inside Out project, what I do is take that feeling, that mirror effect that the narcissist was giving back to us that made us fall in love with them, and then use that mirror effect for our own being, for our own self, to mirror this kind of love to our own inner child, to our own essence, to our own self. Because in reality, that feel good that they're bringing to us is really, in that moment, it feels like these emotional needs are being met, but they're being met by an outside source. And therefore, we're still ignoring our true essence. And if something happens, it's going to be devastating. And so it's very important to understand what's happening. That narcissistic love that they're giving, even throughout years and years, is simply a mirror. And this is, for a lot of people, we tend to get our self-esteems eroded. Our confidence gets eroded. We tend to get isolated, ostracized. All of these different things start to happen, and toxic shame then comes in, guilt then comes in, and then the narcissist plays on these things. And that is because, in essence, in the beginning, they were mirroring back these emotional needs that we needed inside of ourselves to fulfill, and it felt really, really, really good to feel that. So what I like to work with people on is to take that feeling and then reverse it and do it yourself. Like, use your own, the ego is not a bad thing. Like, you can use the ego to then, as this self, as in this physical 3D world we live in, as self, and then reflect that back to the essence within, and treat yourself, like mirror that same emotional love back to yourself. And this is a positive way that we work with people and begin to build their self-concept, self-esteem, and build their confidence, build their self-love. It's a new way that we learn to love ourselves. Because a narcissist can never love anyone, and narcissist simply plays the fuel game. They come in and they make us feel like $1 million by fulfilling these needs through the mirror effect, simply so that they can get us to that point of then being manipulated, used, and always being ensnared by them to fuel them and their needs. At the same time, while they're mirroring our love back to us and we're in such admiration of them, this is fueling them like crazy. This is giving them the fuel that they need. So it's very, it's important to be able to self-reflect as you're going through this healing process when you're coming out of these abusive relationships. And that's kind of what I've learned through what narcissistic love is. Their love is to gain for them, for themselves. There's no one else that exists outside of their world except for what they can get from other people, and then they play the emotions to get what makes them feel better, and that is not love. That is so far from love. And the difference, for me, learning is, the things that that they put you through is not love. The walking on eggshells is not love. If you have to transform into someone else to please them so that they don't abuse you, that is not love. If you have to begin to just in any shape or form start to lose who you are in order to feel loved again, or to feel this unmet emotional needs that we're addicted to trying to make feel better, that we're always addicting, the ego is seeking outside of itself to make it feel better. So that's where it's coming from. And then, the love bombing kind of creates that addiction part. And so we become in this cycle of addiction. And so it's very important to understand what's happening in that early process and how we can use that later on to then change some of the things that we're trying to now move forward from, and now move beyond it. And now we want to learn the lesson of, what is authentic love, so I can understand how this feels and what this is, and how I can move forward in my life by finding these things, and hopefully finding my actual twin flame, or my actual soulmate, or the actual life partner that I can grow with authentically. And some of the things that I've learned was I had to heal that. I had to stop seeking outside of myself, for one. And I really learned that by being able to take what was being shown to me in that self-reflection and really putting that into my inner child and giving my inner child that type of love, because it never had it before. And realizing that that was the depth of the essence that I needed to learn throughout that process. And it's very important to understand. So, the difference too is, a lot of times we're sold on this concept of what love is, and for many of us, we're built on conditions, like if we act a certain way, then we'll be loved, but when we don't act a certain way, then we're going to get shamed, and that's not love either. That is so far from authentic love. Authentic love allows you to be completely transparent, but first you have to be transparent with yourself. You have to understand that it starts here before you can be transparent and actually be completely transparent with another person. And that's a very important thing to understand. Like, to me, like, you build these relationships on transparency and being completely honest. And when you're allowed to be completely transparent with someone, and they can be completely transparent with you, you're getting that vulnerability, you're getting that safety, that safe feeling that builds love. Like, you don't fall in love anymore, you build the love. And that's another big difference between a narcissistic love and an actual real love relationship. Real love relationships build themselves over time, and they continue to build, and it doesn't fall so quickly, and then all of a sudden it just, now you're devalued and discarded, and I no longer love you. And that was not love. That was never love. And if and again, narcissists don't know how to do that. So this is the game that they play. And for many of us, we were taught that that is what love is. So therefore we fall into the trap. And it takes this devastating experience to awaken ourselves into finding that authenticity within ourselves and finding that true essence in ourselves. And so there's a big difference between narcissistic love and actual real love, and how that works, and creating a life partnership versus a relationship that's teaching. Because in a life partnership, you're literally each other's cheerleader. There is no competition. You want the other to succeed. You want the other to build, like you're building this. It's like placing the foundation, and then you're building upon that over the time, over the years, and you're building your love, and it's growing more and more. And you do this through vulnerability, because you're allowed to be vulnerable. You're allowed to be transparent. You're allowed to be exactly who you are without needing to change that, because the other person will accept you for who you are completely. And that's a big difference as well, because with narcissists, you have to become what they want you to be in order for them to accept you and not devalue or discard you, or to even get just the crumbs of what you got in the beginning. With authentic love, when you meet someone, there are no crumbs. It's consistent. It is a consistent thing. You're allowed to have disagreements, and instead of going back and forth with each other, you create understanding, and you're seen, and your opinion and your perspective and your perceptions are understood, rather than trying to be flipped into what they want it to be. With authentic love, you can be 100% who you are, and completely vulnerable, because that person's not going to take advantage of that. And it's vice versa. Like, they can do that with you, but you have to also get to that point where you're functioning from here, and you're not relying on that person to satisfy this big unmet emotional hole that we have to heal. And that's a big difference. So I wanted to just get on and talk a little bit about that. I wrote a blog about what I believe and what I've learned authentic love is, and I'll share that in the description. So hopefully you guys can read it. It gets kind of deep. It's I can assure you, I've gained this through the process. Sorry, these flies are kind of deer flies, but it was something I had to learn. It took me a few years of really getting to know myself. I am not the same person that was discarded, and I'm not the same person that in my relationship, or my partnership now, as I should call it, as I was in that previous relationship with a narcissist. There's a big, it's an experience I've never experienced before, and it's beautiful, and it's there is no better feeling than feeling safe, and feeling like you can be authentic with someone, and they're not going to judge you, and they're not going to turn their back on you, and they're not going to look down upon you. Instead, they're going to appreciate your darkness. They're going to appreciate your presence. They're going to appreciate you being in their lives, and they're going to be grateful for these things, and they're going to be thankful that you give back to them as they give to you. And it's this beautiful essence that comes together into a oneness, and then it builds on a partnership rather than a competition or a meet my needs only type of one-sided thing, as it turns into with a narcissist. Because with a narcissist, you are not seen, you are not heard, you are ignored, and it's about them. In a life partnership, in a real love, authentic relationship, you are both seeing each other, and you're flowing back and forth. The energy is just back and forth in a positive way. It's a beautiful experience. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that, because I get there's so many people that seem to struggle with this narcissistic love, and we have to realize it's not love, and we have to realize what it can actually teach us, and through that self-reflection, learn how to mirror what they were mirroring to us, then learn through our own selves to mirror that to our own true essence and begin to heal the emotional unmet needs and begin to meet those needs, because it's going to take that in order to call in that one, in order to bring that one to you that you're seeking, in order to bring that partnership to you. You can't go out and find your so-called life partner and build on love if you're not first in that place of love yourself. And so it's very, very, very important to understand the healing process and to take that time to heal, and make sure that you're when you do start calling in that one, or you do start seeking it out, that you are in that place, that you are there, that you're in that place right here, not up here, not in the ego, like not in this imaginative self that the ego created and believes needs outsideness to fulfill you. Because I can assure you there's nothing better than being able to be 100% yourself with someone, and they love you as you, and you're not having to fulfill their needs and they're not fulfilling yours, and it's built on 100% complete just gratitude and appreciation for the being that they are. And then you build that deeper intimacy with that person, and it literally intertwines energy. It intertwines into a oneness of complete, absolute, pure, authentic love. And it's absolutely beautiful to experience, and I really hope everyone gets to experience it, everyone that's out that is seeking it. So I wanted to share and talk a little bit about this, and express again, in the Inside Out Project, this is one of the tools that we use, because it's one that if you've been through narcissistic abuse, you understand the love bombing. And if you can take that, how that person came into your world, mirroring back to you exactly the love that you are, because they can't possess that. They have no ability to possess that. They never did. A good example for me, it got so bad with the mirroring that the person I was with, the toxic person, would mimic how I talked, because I'm from Florida, I'm from the South, so I talk slower. But they would mimic that, like mirror that even more, to tend to like make that feeling of they're the one, and they get me and they understand me, and now all my my needs are met that I never was meeting myself. And so it can get really tricky, and we can use that feeling to then use our own parts. Like the ego doesn't have to be a bad thing. We can use that, we can recognize what it's trying to do, and when we begin to do that, we can then feed our own essence and start fulfilling this big hole within ourselves, and start closing that up. And the more it closes and the more we heal, the more we will be able to attract another person, or that other partner that could be already seeking you, but they're if the vibration is not, if you're not vibrating together at that point, then you got to get to that point. Like you got to bring that energy to the same level in order to call that person in, or to be able to get to that that instant or that moment where you two come together. And it's extremely beautiful. Like this stuff is very deep, but it's what we need to take it higher. It's what we need to raise our vibrations, to function from a higher energetic level, and truly function from a place of heart instead of all mind, and function from a place of met needs, so that we're not walking around in the world demanding others to meet these unmet needs that we were taught in our childhood. Like this is what we got to heal. And there's a big, huge difference between narcissistic love and authentic love. And I hope people can understand that there's a major difference. And and it comes down to even your parents. I mean, how your parents loved you. You'll see an amazing difference when you begin to function from that place. When you begin to realize those ahas, like, oh my God, oh, you know, like it's it's a different world. Your perception of the world, everything changes when you connect to this right here, and you begin to heal this hole that's here that allowed those types of people to come into your world. So with that, I will jump off here. If you're interested in the Inside Out project, you can go to the website. I'll put that link, it should be in the description. If you would be interested in one-on-one coaching, you can also send me an email through the website, and we can schedule that. Usually it's done through Zoom. If anyone has any questions, you can put it in the comments. And if you've experienced this, where you've actually gained and went from that narcissistic love and healed and then found love, please share that, because I think it's very important for other people that aren't there yet, or that are very early in the stages, to be able to see that difference, to be able to see that other people are doing it, and it's inspirational. And that's the goal, is to inspire people to heal so that they can actually live the best life that they're here to live, and not be consumed with the illusion that we've all been presented up until we can start seeing through the illusion. You know, so it's so please share your experiences, and please share this video if you think it helps. I appreciate you very much, and I will talk to you on the next video. Namaste.